Max
doesn't ring a bell.
Blumenthal. Yeah, he makes videos with Max Blumenthal. Daniel Cohen and Max Blumenthal, they're very like anti-Israeli Jews. They're both two Jews that are very anti-Zionist and on the side of Palestine and stuff like that. Max Blumenthal, and they're two famous Jews that are very leftist and like extremely leftist, like Venezuela promoting leftist, and they're very anti-Zionist, and they translate or they report on religious Zionism and stuff like that. But here is a video of Blumenthal. Where is it? Hold on, let me share my screen. Okay, so let's just see this. Did you hear that? You can hear it and see it, right?
Yes, I could hear it and see it.
Okay, hold on. Okay.
He's better off. This is ISIS. He said it right here. This is ISIS. In this conference of Zionists right there, 3 plans right there. Leave the territories, continue to live there with second-class status, or continue resisting, in which case the IDF knows what to do to you. Kill you.
Now, let me back up to the 7-minute mark. I think that's where it was, because he's talking about the Noahide laws.
According to real hardcore
Smotrich, right?
Right, according to the Smotriches of the world, and there are of Israel, in which there are many. He's not the only one. He's one of the more prominent figures, but you know, this ideology that he's talking about, what he laid out in that 2017 plan, it's called the subjugation plan. And yeah, there are 3 options that you give the Palestinians. 1, you leave, go to another country. 2, you agree you can stay as long as you live, you know, they call it a second-class citizen in Haaretz because it's nice, you know, they want to put it in nice liberal ways. These euphemistic terms, you know, for liberals to consume. So what they're talking about is you get ethnically cleansed, expelled, you live as a slave, and you renounce your religion and everything, and you live under what are called the 7 Noahide laws.
There it is.
It's this like biblical laws for non-Jews in a Jewish kingdom. Yep.
They got their own Sharia?
I mean, and all of these. Oh yeah, the Noahide laws.
Yeah. So, but Dan, let's.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Wait,
so,
hold on.
But that is not.
There's something that I missed. That wait. What? Hold on 1 second. Hold on.
Statements about Holocaust Hitler have been repeated again and again for years at B'nai David. The significance of such ideology is clear to Palestinians. Some Israeli soldiers are learning that Palestinians must be the subject of extermination. That's what the article states there. It's plain as day. You can't get around it, right? This one here, asknoah.org. Have the Noahide laws been recognized by any governments? Because after all, he's going to get into that. Maybe we'll go ahead and jump up to that point there before I continue on, right around the 7-minute mark.
You agree you can stay as long as you live, you know, they call it a second-class citizen in Haaretz because it's nice, you know, they want to put it in nice liberal ways. Live as a slave. You renounce your religion. All churches, all mosques will be destroyed. That's all considered idol worship.
What?
And you live as a slave.
That's not even dhimmitude. Remember dhimmitude? We're going to be dhimmi to the Muslims. I think the Muslims let you pay a tax and keep your church.
Yeah.
So this is Smotrich over here.
Better off.
This is ISIS.
He said it right here.
This is ISIS.
In this conference of Zionists right there, 3 plans right there. Leave the territories, continue to live there with second-class status, or continue resisting, in which case the IDF knows what to do to you. Kill you.
Now, let me back up to the 7-minute mark. I think that's where it was.
Okay, I wanted to put that both in. That okay, so this what looked like came out of the Israeli government. I have to watch that one more time. I've already watched this 3 times because I want to be very careful before I say that the Israeli government told the Palestinians they could get Noahide laws. So from what he said, now this is Dan Cohen. He has been published. So let's just look up Dan Cohen really quickly so that you can see he's not like a big nobody. Dan Cohen, journalist. Dan Cohen, can you hear me, Claire?
Yes.
Okay. Dan Cohen is an American journalist and filmmaker based in Washington, D.C. He is the host of Behind the Headlines. Formerly Russia Today America, Cohen has contributed to Al Jazeera, Alternate, Electronic Intifada, The Gray Zone, Middle East Eye, Monderweiss, The Nation, and Vice News. Cohen is from Phoenix, Arizona, and has 1 child. Cohen is Jewish and he's from Lithuania, and his works was Killing Gaza 2018 with Max Blumenthal. I don't know if you recognize this guy's face, but this is Max Blumenthal. He's a pretty famous leftist Jew for Gaza. But he's like kind of like on the side of China, Russia, Syria, Venezuela. He's a little bit crazy. But the point is that he says that the government said that they could be, what were determined to be second-class citizens, but under that, he described that the government said that, or at least he described it as it being Islam and Christianity would be idol worship. And so I cannot think of any other instance in which those words would be applied to Christians and Muslims under the Noahide laws. So he is saying that the basic, if that's what the government meant with their terminology. And then there's this guy Smotrich. Smotrich is the official Smotrich Israel. Smotrich. Israel far-right politician and lawyer who served as the Minister of Finance since 2022. Smotrich, let's look at that subjugation plan 2017. Let's see what the subjugation plan is. Decisive plan. Okay, wait, let's see. Wait, hold on. Okay, West Bank settlers' violent problem, the second sign that Israel's policy of ignoring Palestinians' drive for a homeland isn't a long-term solution. What did Smotrich say? This decisive plan. The surrender of transfer proposal in particular comes from Smotrich, who outlines these ideas in his 2007 decisive plan. Let's see, there's an article on decisive plan here. It's in Hebrew. Shoot. Oh, no, that's not. Okay, let's see if this says anything about the Noahide laws. No, but the decisive plan. Israel's decisive plan. Because he said that this Smotrich guy offered up a plan where they would be have to accept the Noahide laws, but I don't see that in this decisive plan. I'm looking for any kind of Ben Noah. Nothing here about the Noahide laws, but Dan Cohen could be mistaken. It could be propaganda. Let's see if the word Noahide shows up on the site. I don't know if there's a way to turn this into English.
Google Translate.
Stop sharing. Wait, Google Translate. Let's see. Translate to English. Okay, why can't I look at... Okay. Oh, wait. Find 7 Noahide laws. Oh, wait. Relevance. This is hushlope.org. Okay, I don't see anything specifically about the Noahide laws in this plan that he outlines here. Smotrich, Noahide, decisive plan, Palestine. Let's see, I have to put in, it has to include the word Noahide. I don't want to publish this.
Publish what?
Wait, hold on. I don't want to publish this if I don't want to publish that the Israeli government offered them the Noahide laws if that's not really what the government meant. I don't want to publish that the Israeli government said, you know, I don't see any evidence of that besides outside of Dan Cohen's mouth. I'm looking for anything to link the two.
Okay, maybe you should just summarize what you have been trying to say to me, because it was a little hard to follow.
Well, you saw the video.
I kind
Dan
of
Cohen
found it hard
said
to
that the
follow
Israeli government
all
offered the Palestinian
you know,
people
the
the
point.
Noahide laws, and this guy Smotrich.
You've gone quiet.
I can't hear you. You're going. You. I
Hi.
couldn't hear you there for a second.
Okay, well, and please tell me what you think has happened that you think is big news.
This guy Dan Cohen says that the Israeli government offered the Palestinian people to leave, be killed, or become second-class citizens, where Islam and Christianity would be considered idolatry.
Oh, wow.
I don't know why you didn't get that the first time, but
Well, I because there was just so much stuff going on, and I'll start again, and but so I thought it was necessary to sum it up. But you can't find any official announcement of this anywhere other than a
okay.
YouTube
Well, hold on.
video. Is that the position?
Let's watch the relevant part of the thing again. Hold on.
Yes.
They did kind of show where it was. Hold on. Where is it? Here it is.
Second-class citizen in second-class citizen in Haaretz, because it's nice, you know, they want to put it in nice liberal ways. Live as a slave. You renounce your religion. All churches, all mosques will be destroyed. That's all considered idol worship.
What?
And you live as a slave.
That's not even
What's that?
dimitude. Remember dimitude? We're going to be dimmy to the Muslims. I think the Muslims let you pay a
Oh,
tax
right.
and keep your church.
Yeah. So this is
I think
Smotrich over
dimmy
here.
is better off.
This is ISIS.
Okay.
He said it right here.
This is ISIS.
In this conference of Zionist right there, 3 plans right there.
Okay, it's a plan presented. Tom Perisco quoted remarks that MK minister, I think, some kind of minister, Bezalel Smotrich, made recently at a conference of religious Zionists where he presented his plan to offer the Palestinians 3 opinions: have their territories, continue to live there with a second-class status, or continue resisting, in which case the Israeli Defense Force will know what to do. Okay, so that's not the Israeli government. It's an Israeli government official presenting a plan that the um, that the Palestinians live as Noahides if they want to stay there.
Right. That's very interesting. Have we? And this just happened
Yes, but
today.
not today, but it happened very recently.
Right. And we don't have the response of the Palestinians to this proposal.
I'm sure they're not
And
going to complain because Palestinians are already working with the Sanhedrin. So they're not, don't count on Palestine to get upset about that, Claire. You really think these Muslims are so gung ho to fight these no-hide laws, and they're not.
okay, but I guess I'm trying to find out where it's reported. Okay. It's in Haaretz, yes.
Yes, Haaretz. Look up Tomer Perisico. Look at those names there. And Bazalel Smotrich. And then look up second class status. Come on.
There's nothing recent about Smotrich and the Noahide laws.
Just leave it. Okay, did you find it?
No, I can't find it. I mean, the most recent thing was December 2022.
You know what? I just want to say, Claire, that anything that I see on any right wing website anymore, I don't believe because I've come to realize that 95% of it is fake. They publish
Yeah.
fake. They publish fake news all the time, and they don't understand how that makes them look bad. It really makes them look very immoral.
Yeah, I mean,
And a lot of them claim to be Christians. A lot of them claim this is Christianity, and they're just flat out lying.
you can't really trust Christians.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks okay. It looks like somebody in a government position made a plan for Palestine, and one of the things about it was that they adopt the Noahide laws.
Yeah, and we don't have a response from the Palestinians. And was it okay? 21 days ago, this one, right? Voices Israel wants a silence on that
Israeli News
Israeli
Live.
News Live channel, yes?
Yes.
And that was 21 days ago. And nobody has reacted or said anything.
I'm looking for anything in it. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah,
But
it's
don't.
annoying.
Yeah, but Palestine is not going to get uppity about that. I don't. They're dumb, Claire. They're too dumb to even realize what's going on.
Well, the Palestinians, well, I mean, they're not even, doing the obvious thing. Because if I were Hamas, I would be saying, look, we just want you to live under Sharia. What's your problem? And just wait for the reaction. But they're not even doing that. So it's either because they're stupid or they're doing or they're not doing it on purpose. I mean,
It's a
wouldn't you
little bit of
be?
both. It's both. They think it's insignificant, but also they don't want to bring attention to it.
Yeah. So they're not seeing their main chance. They're not seeing it as an opportunity. That all the stupid Jews and all the stupid Muslims want to just say you're more evil than us, and nobody cares, and everybody just wishes they'd go away, if you're a non-Muslim Gentile, you just want them to shut up and go away. And really, you don't care that, you know, you don't really care that, they're getting killed, because actually it's old news, isn't it? It's old news that Jews and Muslims are killing each other in Israel.
Yeah, it is.
So,
It is getting.
we're not that bothered.
It's turning into old news.
And it's not like it hasn't happened before. I mean, it's just that every time it happens, the media treats it as if it was, the worst thing ever, ever, ever. And people are bored of it.
Well, yeah, because these people cause their own problems, and this is happening because their civilizations are built on this kind of conflict, and it's just none of our business, and it's gross, and neither side is right, so just don't take sides.
But in fact, the Western media wants us to take a side.
Well, they just
it's
want us
basically
divided,
saying-
but
I mean, the government is saying we should be protecting the Jews, and the Muslims in Western countries are saying no, we support the Palestinians, and then this makes the non-Muslim Gentiles say, well, out of the two, or yeah, it could be just opportunistic, right? It's like, here's a chance to support the Muslims to make the Jews look bad. So that's what we're going to do. And
Claire,
maybe
wait one
something else
second.
will happen to make the Muslims look bad, and then they'll be going on about how terrible the Muslims are.
Hold on one second. Hey Siri, set table to 20%.
But the emotions of the uncommitted non-Muslim Gentile is capricious. They might go on a demonstration today, against the Jews. They might go on another demonstration on another day for the Jews. Who knows? Or it could be all staged. No, Mum, okay, maybe not. But it doesn't really affect what the ordinary person thinks, and the ordinary person doesn't really have much of an influence on foreign policy. And that is why the government thinks it can, just tell us any lie about, who they're bombing and why, because they know the, man in the street doesn't take an interest in foreign affairs. I mean, he barely understands his own history, so why would he bother with learning the history of foreign countries that he's never heard of and never plans to visit? And that's why in democracies they just slide so much past the nose of the voter. They're never expected to take a principled stance on foreign policy. The main parties only talk about what they might care about, like taxes and property prices and that sort of thing. And the ordinary person is prepared to believe whatever the mainstream tells them to, because they can't be bothered to investigate the matter. I mean, it is really for this reason that I reject democracy, because I was talking to somebody years ago, and I was saying the EU is foreign policy, and he just couldn't get it. And
Claire,
it's like, yes,
hold
of
on.
course.
I'm listening. Keep talking, but I'm listening.
Okay, so I was trying to make the point that Britain in the European Union is actually foreign policy, because it is actually the British agreeing to be controlled by somebody not in their own country and following EU directives, which are the basis of the law for EU countries. So this was what I was trying to explain to this person, who is actually educated and did go to a good university, but it was just completely just reject it or just not comprehend it. I'm saying this is foreign policy, but he could only think of immigration and how annoying these immigrants are. But I say, this is actually a foreign policy matter. And I'm saying a lot of people just can't make the, conceptual distinctions between these things. And all they know is that they hate immigration and or they hate Jews or they hate Muslims. And that's all they can use to reason with. And obviously it's not a good idea to reason with, who you hate most at any given time. And the media know this, and the government knows this, and I'm saying actually foreign policy is important because and you will know about it when you start a war and you lose a war, and then you have an invading army, such as what Germany had when the Germans lost a war in the last World War, and with the Russians, invading them and raping them and all that. And it's like, yeah, then you care about foreign policy, but before that you don't give a damn who your country maims and murders. And I'm afraid this will be a lesson that will just never be learned.
Living Dream sees these rubbish right-wing small news, right-wing in quotes, small news site stories are for regulation on Twitter so they can point and keep up the fake news quotas on social media. So he says it's a conspiracy. These fake news sites are a conspiracy.
Oh yeah, or they report something that nobody is going to even respond to, so it might as well not have happened. And of course, Israeli News Live is a site that has its own particular agenda. I mean, what would you say was its agenda? It's Christian, it's Zionist, and it's anti-Semitic. Yes.
It's Christian, anti-Zionist, and Jews would say it's anti-Semitic. It's not like racial anti-Semitism. It's more like theological anti-Semitism and anti-Israel.
Yeah, you know the term anti-Semitism. I mean, I think traditionally it was just a given that Christians would dislike Jews and Muslims who have a different conception of God that isn't the Trinity. Because they sense that these Jews and Muslims don't agree with them about the Trinity, and traditionally hated them, and that's why anti-Semitism actually covered Arabs as well as Jews, because Arabs were associated with Islam, and and that was the reason why Christians didn't like Jews or Muslims. Apart from the racial thing, it was like obviously we don't like people who don't agree with us on a very important thing such as religion.
Yes. Yes, it's just
Yeah,
God.
I mean, because if you think about it, it's like, well, obviously, they don't agree with us about Jesus being God, and we can't quite explain it to ourselves either, but we just hate them because they don't agree with us, and for capitalism and communism, maybe you can understand. It's like, well, the rich people would want to control the resources, and obviously the poor people would want a bit more of what they think is a fairer share, and this is capitalism and communism is basically one class saying we should have more because either because we do all the work or because we're cleverer and you're stupid, and we're and the few of us who know how things are run should control the resources, and the workers are stupid. It's sort of what's the word, six of one and half a dozen of the other, and you can never really win in a permanent way, I guess.
Well, with Israeli News Live, I don't know if they're necessarily meaning to be just misleading, but I think maybe they just over interpreted something, to mean that it's still important that a government official is talking about to the Palestinians about accepting the Noahide laws. That's still,
Yeah,
um,
actually, that's very interesting. I'll certainly try to find an independent report about it, because I'm actually very happy that the discussion has become theological. So so this Israeli, what was it, a defense minister, for what was his title? This
who?
was
I'm
Smotrich.
gonna find out in a second. Oh wait, I'm trying to.
I mean, he's obviously
Um,
not a rabbi, and he thinks, that the Palestinians will be, flattered that these Jews think they're Noahides, and, you know, um, but he obviously doesn't know that a lot of Muslims will just say, no, we don't accept your authority. We don't even accept the concept of the Noahide laws, and the people who say, we don't accept the concept of Gentiles because it's a Jewish idea.
wait, I found it in Haaretz. I found it.
Oh,
Wait,
great. Let's see
hold
it in the
on.
private chat.
Hold on. Okay. Oh well, I can't access all of it because,
Yeah, because it's behind a
but
paywall, right?
the part about yes, but the part about the second class citizen is there. Here, I'm gonna post it in the private chat and in the. I posted it and then I'm gonna put it in the comments.
So it was written in
Um.
2017. 2017, which is a while back,
Yes. So
five
this
years
isn't
ago.
anything. Yeah, I thought this was. Yeah, she. She's a little mistaken on this, but
And also, I guess
yeah,
her agenda would be saying, oh, you know, aren't the Jews horrid and don't they hate us Christians? Which is her shtick, basically, isn't it? And that, oh, and the Muslims would be
yes, which
better
I
to
don't think
us
is
because
off the
they'd let us
mark,
keep our
but
churches. Sorry?
yeah, I mean, he said they let us keep our churches, and yeah, no, I understand this kind of thing, but I don't think that she's wrong about how much Jews dislike Christians and want to get rid of them. I don't think
Yes,
she's
yes, because
wrong about
apparently
that.
now, not 5 years ago, these Jews are spitting on Christians in Jerusalem. Have you heard of that?
Yes,
So obviously, some of the religious Jews
yes,
are thinking, oh my God, why are we allowing these idol worshippers in Israel? This is terrible. We're still scared of them, but we can show our disapproval by spitting on them or in their presence to show that we don't like them. And what I thought interesting was how it was reported, in a very restrained, roundabout way. You really have to read the words carefully to even know what it's all about. And it's like, idolatry, somewhere, in a very, very long article. It's actually quite funny. It's like, it's obviously that if you know anything about, how Jews feel about idolatry, but in this article, which I think it was Jewish News or something like that, you had to read the long, 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 long article before, it sort of mentioned at the penultimate paragraph that, these Jews have a problem with idolatry. And if you're Christian, it's like, well, you wouldn't even know what it was about. Because they don't get it. You tell them, and they really don't understand. And even if they do, it's like, oh, so what's the problem? What's a little bit of idolatry?
but there was a rabbi who said the Palestinians should follow the Noahide laws, and then all these problems would go away, but um, it
Well,
is
yes,
being
yes,
talked
yes.
about.
It was a chief rabbi. I remember that because I think he was annoyed about the Arabs committing terrorism, and he was proposing to use the Noahide laws against them. Like, well, they're killing us. We should deal with them like our ancestors did. And it's like, excuse me.
Here, I found another. Here's another Arab. I mean, rabbi spreading the no-hide laws for Arabs, saying that the answer to the Israel-Palestine conflict is no-hide. So the government isn't saying it, but the rabbis are.
Yeah, but I mean, it's obvious they haven't spoken to a Muslim, because if they have spoken it to any Muslims, they would know that the Muslims throw the no-hide laws in their faces
No, they don't.
with the usual
The,
arguments
the
like,
big
you know, what?
um not the imams are not nasty about the Noahide laws. They go to these Noahide meetings to proclaim that Islam is Noahide. I mean, and the average Muslim in the street is too dumb to even know what's going on, let alone fight back or care.
Well, that's the thing, we're not getting much traction about the no-hide laws because it's not being discussed in the media, and that's why they don't care. It's like, you're just on your own trip doing your thing. Nobody cares about the no-hide laws, so why should we care?
Well, because they're dumb. They're dumb. And to not put up a defense to an ideological response because you think that there's only 500,000 of them and you don't need to worry about that is ridiculous. I mean, this shows how stupid. This is why Islam wouldn't work against the Noahide laws, because they're too dumb to even realize it's a threat.
Well, from what I gather from my exchanges with them, they, like anti-Semitic Christians, reject the authority of the Jews, because the Jews are just going to say, oh, you're no-hide, and I guess people who don't like Jews will say, we don't need you to pat us on the head. Fuck off. Is the typical Christian, well, the anti-Semitic Christian and Muslim response. We don't need their approval. We don't need them to pat us on the head and call us no-hide.
Yeah,
Um,
okay, yes, but in the same breath they say, but I agree with them, or they're good, or they sound good, or I have no problem with them, and if this is what they want to do, then great. Like, it's just it's not it's considered to be very benign and good.
yeah, and until you take it to another level, like whoever it was saying, oh, but it means the execution of idolaters and blasphemers and the closing down of churches, and
Yeah,
so
but they're
I mean
not.
that's
Look,
not why you got on
Christians are
with them so
trained to
well.
not believe that.
I'm sorry.
Christians are trained to not believe that. I don't think most Christians think that's going to happen.
Well, no, because I guess it's almost unimaginable for these Christians to think that these Jews will ever be in control to declare the death sentence on them.
Yeah,
And
but no, but the Jews are not the ones who do it. It's the Noahide converts. I mean, and they don't understand how it works. And even when they learn how it works, they don't care because it just doesn't fit their agenda. And so they just don't care.
well, they just find it unimaginable
No,
and
it's more that they
too
don't care. There's no
hypothetical.
look. They'll hem and haw about some small cult with no power and how it's drawing away people from Christ. But this is no problem. Drawing people away from Christ for this is absolutely no problem to them. They don't care. They don't care about those people's souls because that would be offensive to Jews in order to say something about that.
Yeah, I mean they're also inconsistent, and And again, I wanted to talk to you about this sort of Sheilaism, because I find this is sort of, pretty general with people. I mean, I'm interested in theology, so I reason using theology, and obviously to find out how a person is going to react, I sometimes ask them, do you believe in God? If you're a Christian, have you been, that kind of thing, and it's always like, ooh, it's rude to ask. It's a personal thing, like Jordan Peterson, when some people who think that he might be a bit suspect about the strength of his views. And so they kind of pursued Peterson for a bit, asking him if he believed in God, and he was just being really coy about it, saying, oh, it's a personal thing. What do you say about that, Vincent? I mean,
Sum that up again one more
Doug,
time.
Jordan Peterson has been pursued by some people who want him to declare whether he believes in God, and he refuses to say.
Well, because he's like you. He's just using religion to accomplish something he doesn't really believe in it.
I mean, I really believe that religion should be used to restore the
Yeah, but you don't
patriarchy.
believe in Allah or anything, but you think that if you have to take on a spirituality, it might as well be Islam. I mean, it's not like you believe in God and are doing this for God. You just think it's a good idea.
Well, I think once you think it's a good idea, you kind of want to believe in it. You see, because really, it's a kind of hypothetical thing. That you think, well, if this were true, and then all the nice things would come from there, and then I think it's hard to completely reject the idea, because you're hypothesizing about how good things would be if it were actually true, and and I'm basically saying I think I have a just as good an idea of what God could be, or would be if he existed, than any theologian who claims to believe in God. And that's why I get so cross when people, don't seem to be behaving in the way that I think they ought to behave if they really believed. So this is my problem with Christians. So if you really believed in God, and you accepted the Ten Commandments and know what they mean, then you would be mortified, you would be dismayed to learn that Christians are guilty of idolatry. And if you cared, you would, want to investigate the matter further, and want to know what defenses there are to this accusation. And that's what I expect Christians to do, genuinely be concerned. And then they're not concerned, they don't care. And it just makes you wonder how many of them, if there is even one of them, that really believe. But I also think that, that there is even some argument between Muslims about, oh, we pray to, oh, okay, people have difficulty making the distinction between thinking of any of the prophets when they pray to praying to them, and I suppose praying to something is worshipping them, because you're asking this being you're worshipping to do stuff for you. And a lot of people, Catholics in particular, they pray to saints, don't they? They have these patron saints of lost objects and travelers and all kinds of things, right?
Hmm.
And so they kind of, oh, I've lost something, and I have to pray to Saint Christopher, or whatever. It's kind of specialized, and then they do this, and they don't even know that it is idolatry. Well, I guess the Jews and Muslims are going, oh my God, this is so awful. Look at these Christians praying to, dead men, thinking these dead men can recover them, their, whatever. And, but these people don't really tell them. So I'm going to find a list of patron saints of Catholicism, I suppose. So, patron saints, A to Z, saints and angels. So patron saints are chosen as special protectors or guardians over areas of life. These areas can include occupations, illnesses, churches, countries, causes, anything that is important to us. The earliest records show that people and churches were named after apostles and martyrs as early as the 4th century. So you could have, and I'm going to read you, you can pray to abandoned children, abdominal pains, abortion, protection against, abuse victims, those falsely accused, actors, actresses, and there's a whole list of them from A to Z. And then you can pray for countries, alcoholism.
A whole list of them that did what?
There's an A to Z of patron saints that
Yes, I understand.
Yes, so St. Patrick is who you might pray to if you lived in New York and wanted St. Patrick to protect New York, or and archers and architects and archives and it's a long list. Authors, automobiles, belt makers, Bible scholars, cyclists, bird dealers. So you'd be praying to John the Baptist, apparently.
Oh my God! Yes, I guess.
So
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is technically idolatry. So I think I was having a discussion. I think it was with what's his name, Narish, and he was saying he prayed to Jesus, right? Or maybe you were even in the stream. I forget now. And he obviously doesn't think it's idolatry, and maybe he was just thinking of Jesus, or thinking of anyone. It doesn't mean that you're technically praying to them, and you can say, oh, you're just commemorating, you're just remembering fondly and with respect all these prophets of the Abrahamic religions. But it would be idolatry if you prayed to Moses to do anything for you. Is really what I'm trying to say.
Yes, Tamara Lyra is in the chat, and she's agreeing with you that Catholics commit idolatry. She follows me from the Noahide blog spot, and she knows Israeli News Live, and she listens to them. And actually, Tamara, I told you I would report on that. It seems perhaps that second-class status for the Palestinians wasn't announced from the Israeli government, but I think Yana is a little bit mistaken on it. But definitely these things are being proposed by politicians and they're trying to convert Palestinians to the Noahide laws. So
yeah, I mean, is this guy even a rabbi? This Bezalel Smotrich?
no, he's a right-wing extremist.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, he doesn't even have the authority to propose these things. A lot of people are just sort of saying things off the top of their head. They don't really understand the thing,
Claire, what authority do you have to propose things?
Well, at least I'm correct factually.
Excuse me, I think it's pretty factually correct that the Palestinians should be living under the Noahide laws. That sounds pretty factual to me.
Yeah, but it would be okay. I mean,
Claire, it doesn't take a rabbi to know Palestine.
Okay, I'll tell you what the difficulty is. And to be fair to Smotrich, his father's a rabbi. His father was an Orthodox rabbi. He received a religious education and attended yeshiva. and so, and oh yes, and he's a law. He graduated in law, but he began a master's degree in public and international law, but he did not complete it. He is licensed as a lawyer. He's got 7 children, so I guess he's, he is leading the life of a religious Jew, and he lives on in a settlement. Okay, so what was your question again? Because I'm afraid I forgot it.
No, but it doesn't take a rabbi to say that the Palestinians should be living under Noahide law. You
Oh,
don't
yes,
need
yes. Okay, the point about this is that the Jews themselves are not even observing the minimum moral standard of the Noahide laws because of their what do you call it, gay parades in Tel Aviv, and the kind of things that they allow. So that is when my analogy of bedtime kicks in. So if you're the parent and you want to enforce a bedtime of 8 o'clock, your own bedtime as a parent cannot be 7 o'clock, can it? Because if you go to bed at 7, then you can't be enforcing your children's bedtime at 8.
Yes, they can be hypocrites like they always are, Claire. You act like these people actually are like going to be totally consistent in the application of these laws. They're not going to be consistent. They're going to do it the way they want to.
Yes, I know, and that is why Muslims would deny the authority of Jews to impose any law. And that is...
No, the Muslims
it's
would just say
basically
we're
the
already
problem. It's like we
following
don't
that.
believe you because you don't have the right to do it, because you're not even doing it yourself.
The Muslims would say we're already doing that. The only change Islam would have to do, probably in the beginning, would be not allow any Christians amongst them or anything like that, or polytheists and stuff like that. But, I mean, what else do they have to change in the beginning?
Well, they have no authority because, the Noahide laws is something that isn't in the rabbinical curriculum. So if you're a rabbi, it's just an
Now it
optional...
is. Now it is.
Is it? Are you sure?
Well, it's now they're
I mean, it's
obviously
an option. It's not part of the core
no.
curriculum.
Yes,
is
no.
what I'm
Noahide
saying.
law. It's every rabbi has learned about the Noahide laws. Just they don't make it their life's mission to talk about it. But yes, every rabbi has heard of them.
Oh yes, well, so have non-rabbis. But I'm saying, if you want to be some kind of specialist in the Noahide laws, then you would be taking that option at rabbinical college, and most of them don't do that.
I know,
And so
but
they
you
don't.
don't need most of them to do it. You just need to train the Gentiles and have a few rabbis that are. I mean, but this is changing, Claire. You just don't like that it's not going on at your pace, and that's what's annoying. And like, you really always just think that you know better than everybody else. And don't you ever hear, 2 heads is better than 1? I mean, you have all these rabbis that seem to be doing it just at the right time without agitating people or going around calling Christians idolaters and whipping pregnant mothers. It's just they have other ways of doing it, and your way is just maybe too abrupt and like bull in a china shop.
Okay, well, I accept that I am being quite blunt about what is necessary to be done. And these rabbis can sweet talk the Gentiles and the Christians and say, we don't mean you don't have to smash your idols, etc. But I'm saying, if you really believe in the whole thing, then you would want to correct yourself as soon as possible. I mean, if you really believe that God exists and he's mad at you...
No, well, the Gentiles don't want to. The rabbis have to convince the Gentiles they want to change first. I mean, the Gentiles don't want to change. The rabbis have they.
Yeah, and there's only very few of them who will, give it to them good and hard, right between the eyes. I mean, Toby Singer,
because
in my view, doesn't even do it.
Judaism has a culture of subterfuge. It has a culture of subterfuge. They just don't do things that way, Claire.
Yes, I know, and then they're going to say, you know, obviously we can't because they were so mean to us during the Inquisition, and you know, look what the Nazis did to us. We can't, you know. Yes, I understand that this would be the excuses they would trot out, and my answer to them is, well, if you'd done what you were supposed to have done way before, then you could have saved these poor Gentiles from getting themselves into so much trouble because they don't know where they are. They don't know what they're supposed to do because
Well, but that's the other thing is that Christianity and Islam was doing part of their job for them for centuries, and now they're just thank you very much for getting us close to the finish line, and we'll take the rest from here. And that's the way, you know, the Gentiles basically to a certain degree Noahidized themselves, and now they just need the finishing touches. So the Jews have come back to, basically say thank you for your service, and now just become Noahides, and that's it.
and the Muslims ought to be saying, you know, oh hey, you know, if you became Noahides, and do you know what the Jews could be doing to you? Oh, it could be
Nothing to them.
But
Or
it
at least
says there's this cartoon. We saw it on Vincent Bruno's channel. That cartoon of the axeman beheading Gentiles. That cartoon, Vincent. What book was it? Who wrote it?
Michael Dallin, but he didn't say behead Christians, and Christians are too stupid to think they'll get beheaded. They think that they're all powerful. They're not. And you know what? Christians are dumb in that they're like, oh, well, we're going to get one over on the Jews, and we'll just use this to get rid of all the pagans and the homosexuals, and then we'll rule supreme as Christian Noahides, and we'll never enforce the death penalty on ourselves.
Well, I think the Muslims would be making a few arguments, and I would be helping them to make these arguments. So I'm saying, obviously, the Jews won't be in a position to impose any laws on the Gentiles because there's so few of them, and
That's not the plan. So stop referring to that. That's not even the plan. You attack.
whose plan? You don't even know what they're doing.
No,
But
the
or
Jews
they're
are not
doing it
planning.
so slowly that they'll never get it done.
The Jews are not planning to force the Gentiles to do anything. You have to convert the Gentiles into the system first so that they want to do it to themselves.
Yes, and they might get a few. How many Noahides? 500,000, did you say?
Yes.
Or less, or what? Or more?
But 500,000, probably not more than that.
Okay, so unless the media want to big up, you know, the Noahides, then nothing is going to happen, and I guess it will be, you know, at the behest of the media, controlled by the CIA.
Right, who are more likely to spread Noahidism than Islam.
Yeah, but if they try to spread Noahidism, there will be a theological comeback from Muslims.
Yeah, but
who
Muslims are
more than the
stupid
Noahides.
idiots. No, but they're going to be weak about it. It's just going to be like, oh, the Noahide laws are universal values we can all agree on, and Islam is Noahide already, so we don't need to worry about that, and we can be brothers and sisters with these people. That's what they're going to say.
Yes, they might say that, but there will be quite a few anti-Semitic Muslims, and I've spoken to a few of them, like, Carol, say, I reject the Noahide laws. I don't want to be under Jewish control,
Yeah, but most
and a few
Muslims are not
others,
sitting around.
they reject the concept because they hate Jews so much. So even when you say, which of the Noahide laws do you object to? None of them, but we just don't want them to be, we don't want to be told anything by the Jews. They have nothing to tell us. They have no moral authority.
Well, I don't think that they're, I don't think Muslims have the courage to do that, nor Christians.
Well, I'm trying to get them to do it.
But what makes you think that they're going to grow a pair and do it when they've never done it for centuries?
Well, I think if they get more scared, then people will just sort of, think about God more, because I think instinctively, even if you're an atheist, you want something stronger than your oppressor to save you from your oppressor, right? I mean, it's just a kind of, an internal logic that tells you that. And even if you're not sure God exists, you kind of hope he does, and maybe if you, invoke his name, then, he might help you. I mean, this is basically what prayer consists of. Addressing your request, to God. And this is what, people who claim to believe in God ought to be doing anyway. And that's why I think, these Jews and Muslims in Israel, they're not even, asking the question, who would God support if he exists? And it's like, oh, we know, we'll have a look at his scripture. And then you would have thought that Jews would say, oh, it says in your book, it says in the Quran that we can live here until the end times, right? I mean, because that's what I'd do if I were Jewish, saying, we already have a right to live here because it says in your book, Muslims, in chapter 17, verse 104, that we have the right here to live here with Gentiles. So shut up and fuck off and leave us alone. That's what I'd say if I were Jewish. I'd say that to Muslims. I'd say that to Hamas. And then I guess Hamas would say, yes, you can live here if you want. But you have to live under Sharia because, God sure as hell is not a liberal Democrat. He, if he exists, would want you to live under Sharia. And that's what we want. So, live under Sharia. And, okay, maybe the Jews are kind of anticipating this line of argument, which is why they won't talk about it. Maybe. Because there are actually articles that you can find online from Jewish websites talking about chapter 17, verse 104. Did you know that?
Say, what was it? What, that the Zionists would live there with the Muslims?
Well, there is a title, okay, in Tablet magazine, which is a Jewish magazine, there is an article entitled Allah is Zionist.
Yeah.
And then it gives a whole bunch of verses from the Quran about why Allah is Zionist.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's arguments that the two are compatible, and but but the Jews would just be Muslims, and what would stop them? I mean,
No, there wouldn't be Muslims. I mean, there wouldn't have to be Muslims, is it? Because the Muslims would say, look, when we had our empire, there were all these Christians and all these Jews, and they lived under Sharia. It's not like it's never happened. You don't have to
but
be
they weren't
frightened.
happy, and they complained, and Christians don't want to live under Sharia. They don't believe in it.
You don't have to believe in it, but I understand the reluctance because you are kind of saying that that Christianity and liberalism no longer rule the world, because okay, just imagine if the Jews in Israel said, okay, we're going to live under Sharia, just leave us alone now, and because it would be actually politically, historically, quite significant, because it's saying Jews agree to give up liberal democracy in Israel and live under Sharia. And I'm sure the American empire will have something to say about that. because they won't want it. Because I think they will sense that if they allow their colonial outpost to reject liberal democracy, then it means the end of the American empire, and which will be signaled by America having to adopt Sharia. And then it'll be too busy. It'll be too busy to be, picking fights with, people around the world, and they have to, well, tidy up their room and do a bit of spring cleaning maybe in America itself. And maybe withdraw their troops to, well, control the situation. I mean, there was a reason why the British were very. They left India very quickly, and they also left Israel, or the Palestine Mandate, as it was then called, very quickly. And people later said they left in such a hurry, we didn't know what happened, and I think it was because they feared that the soldiers would be needed to keep order, because when the British realised that they hadn't won the war after all, they would start getting uppity and maybe overthrow their own government, and that's why the British left so quickly, with their tails between their legs from India and Palestine Mandate. They couldn't wait to get out. Because I guess, another reason might be they would know that they had lost authority, and nobody believed that they had the power to, continue imposing their will on anyone. So that's why they had to leave. And were happy to do so. No, but okay. I mean, it's quite predictable how it would go if Jews said, "Look, you Muslims, there's chapter 17, verse 104, saying we can live here until the end of times," and the Muslims will say, "Yes, you can live here until the end of times, but you have to live under Sharia." I mean, surely God, if he exists, would expect you to live under Sharia. He would expect Israel to be a theocracy rather than a liberal democracy. And maybe because the Jews already anticipate this argument, don't want to go there. But the Muslims are too stupid, I agree. They're too stupid to even start a discussion based on the lines I have outlined, because they are a bit dim, yes.
Which is why I'm not worried about Muslims arguing against the Noahide laws, because I can tell they won't be very effective.
Well, they just haven't got their act together, and because, there's nothing in the media reporting, and it's like, if the media doesn't report it, it might as well not have happened. Because nobody's going to get triggered about it. Nobody will, take it seriously until they know.
Look, if you only
to take it seriously.
If you only listen to what the media tells you, then you're not going to be able to. If Muslims are so dumb that they only believe what the media talks about, then they won't be able to fight the Noahide laws. They're too stupid.
Well, the thing is that they're just rejecting the very concept of the Noahide laws, saying that the Jews have no authority, they're no longer God's chosen people, because the Jews were so hopeless at doing what they were made God's chosen people to do, that God had to make Muslims to do the job of the Jews that they couldn't do. Because the Jews sure as hell didn't get rid of idolatry. In fact, they collaborated with it. That is why America protects Israel, and Americans consider themselves to be Christian, and there is such a thing as Christian Zionism.
Well, you know what? White Gentiles haven't been able to stop the Jews, and I don't think Muslims can do it either. They're not even halfway as intelligent or creative or charismatic or anything. So I don't think they can do anything.
Well, I think the problem with these Muslims and these Jews is that they don't have a central authority. Because at least the Catholics, I know they're useless now, but they nominally have a head whom they're supposed to listen to. But Muslims, there's so many different groups and different, schools of Sharia, and they're all saying, they're all fighting with each other and not accepting each other's authority. I think they're a bit like nationalists, really. It's like, well, who are you to tell me what to do, And, but there is a way of doing it by making them choose a leader. There's all sorts of things a government can do. It's like, you have to choose a leader now. We don't care how you do it as long as you do it. It's that sort of thing.
Wait, we don't care what you do as long as you do it?
Yes, it's like saying to a bunch of people, you have to choose a leader because we can't be, talking to, different members of your group because you keep contradicting yourself. One of them will say yes and the other will say no. So we want you to choose a leader so you can make decisions on behalf of the group and we can talk to you and so you can give the message to the group. That's why we have leaders, right? We have representatives. And it's like, well, it's not my place to tell you how you're going to choose a leader, but you have to choose a leader, and we'll leave it to you. And when we come back, tomorrow or next week or whatever, we expect you to have chosen a leader. So we have somebody to negotiate with who will be accountable to the group. And the Jews don't have this thing. Nor do the Muslims. But at least with the Christians you can say, right, the head of the Church of England is the Archbishop of Canterbury, the head of the Catholic Church is a Pope, they will have some nominal leader who says, imagine if Americans didn't have a leader. Well, nothing would be done. Nobody could talk to any of you. Because you'd all be contradicting each other. And say, well, I didn't agree with, whoever, the other American who agreed this thing with you. I don't agree. And that's why, hierarchy is so important. Because how are you going to solve any problem without, making somebody represent some group? Especially if they're a significant group, like a religious group. Otherwise it's like, you're just a hippie movement. It's like, yeah, you all wear the same clothes, you like the same kind of music, take the same drugs, but you don't have a leader. The hippie movement did not have a leader. But then it wasn't that important enough.
Yeah, well, I understand that you have to have a leader, but I don't see any leader amongst Muslims, and all I see is the leaders of the Muslims are cooperating with the Noahide laws, so I really don't expect much pushback. I mean,
I just
I,
make
I
them have a leader. I mean, okay, yeah, but just for the sake of argument, I am, leader of a country, and there are Muslims there, and there are, it's like, well, all you Christians, you have to choose a leader by a certain time, and well, that's the only way to do it, right? I can give them a few suggestions, like, those of you who want to be leader, throw your hat in the ring, and then get the others to vote for you, I guess, through leadership contests or whatever. I mean, it's not that hard.
wow. Yes, Tamara hears my birds. She said they're trying to go to sleep. They're trying to go to sleep. I'm trying to get them to go to sleep. The light is dimmed down. I showed the other ones on Claire's channel before. I have 4 new ones.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah. Um well, I don't think they're gonna, declare a leader, and I just, you know, I think that the Jews have the best plan of all the 3 Abrahamic religions for what they want to get done, and just
But you see, they're unaccountable. I know some Jews want to do this thing, and the other Jews don't quite agree, but they can't really do anything if Chabad are, going on about the Noahide laws, and the others are sort of saying, we don't want to have anything to do with the Gentiles. They're just trouble. They might be nice for a bit, and then they'll turn on you and say all kinds of things about you, blah 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 blah, and so they're not even agreed. And
okay.
what
Well, that
you want
doesn't.
is for them
Well,
to
Muslims aren't agreed either. You don't need agreement. Look, I mean, not everyone in England was agreed to World War II, or, not everyone in America was agreed to this law or that law. Or you don't need mass numbers. I mean, your thing is everything is about the masses with you, and
well,
you
no,
really
no,
don't.
I'm talking about structures.
No,
So
it is structured. It is structured, but it's just not like a huge mass gelatinous movement that you want. And that's also very Muslim. The masses, like the dregs of society. Like Christianity and Judaism are more about getting something a little bit higher end and getting into the intelligentsia. Like Islams are getting into the jails and the ghettos and going, for stuff like that, and former drug addicts and that kind of thing.
I'm sure there are high-end Muslims in, Berkeley and
Yeah,
like
but they're
Hamza
less of them,
Yusuf.
and they're less likely to be like that high end or that intellectual, and they're the trailer trash of the 3 Abrahamic religions.
Well, they seem to be getting quite a few converts because of Andrew Tate and whatever's going
Yeah, and
on.
who the fuck is Andrew Tate? Oh wow, he's like really, really just like a great specimen of the upper echelons of society.
Well, eventually, the low status can climb up the social ladder, I guess. I mean, okay. I mean, the Muslims have just arrived, so well, give them a bit of time. They're just they're just fresh off the boat, so to speak.
Well, what makes you think that these Christians wouldn't get spooked by Islam and say, well, we'd rather have the Noahide laws than Islam. We might as well side with the Jews here because we have so much better relationship with them than the Muslims.
Well, I think these Christians can't decide between whom they hate more, and and the argument for Islam is that, well, why would you trust these rabbis to interpret their laws for you? And it's not even from the Torah, which is actually a divine revelation. It's only from the Talmud, which is just stuff rabbis wrote. And also,
With divine
these Jews haven't been
inspiration.
living in their own theocracy for thousands of years.
With divine
Over 1,000 years.
inspiration, and Christians follow the Torah, the New Testament, which only is divinely inspired but not written by God. So they don't need to worry about, they already follow divinely inspired scripture. And I think that, yes, most Christians would prefer, at least Christian Zionists would prefer, rabbis interpreting laws for them than Muslims interpreting laws for them.
Well, they can be Muslim and then interpret the Quran for themselves. I
But
mean,
they don't
it's not
want that. I
difficult.
mean, I think if they had to choose between staying Christian and just adopting the Noahide laws versus changing their religion, they would rather just stay Christian.
Well, I agree that there's a certain amount of inertia and people refusing to acknowledge that they're wrong, and I don't think the Noahides are doing their job properly. If they said, "Oh, Christians, you're very welcome,"
Well, they're
because
just saying that in round one. Claire, they have a much better strategy than you. I'm not worried about this. I mean, if you know your strategy is to get people to change their religion totally, and their strategy is to first accept them as they are, and then in a generation tell them to get rid of the Trinity. You know what I mean? What's more like invasive? What's more like threatening? Muslims who have a history of violence coming in and calling Christians idolaters, which people get murdered for, or someone saying we accept you as you are, but just let's talk about the Trinity.
well, actually, secular Quranism is saying you can be a Christian or a Hindu or a Buddhist and still be a secular Quranist. We're not going to be arguing with you about your conception of God. Just obey the laws, and you can go to your places of religious worship, even though they contain idols. We're not going to hurt you or your or harm your property or close your place of religious worship down. And these rules in the Quran have been followed for 1400 years. So why not use this than the Noahide laws when you know that the Jews haven't been able to follow their own religion, and therefore they have no authority over Gentiles?
No,
It's
well,
like
first
they
of
haven't
all,
even lived in
first of
their
all,
own theocracy.
first of all, the Jews don't need their own theocracy. The Gentiles are supposed to follow the Noahide laws, regardless. But the Jews, as long as you have one Jew that's following 613 laws, then he can teach the Gentiles the Noahide laws.
Yeah, but
There's
they
no,
can't do that because the temple is not built.
you don't need to then that, but those are not in place right now. As long as they're following the laws that they need to follow, they can act as a teacher to the Gentiles, and that's about it. And the Gentiles can take good advice.
But Vincent, don't you understand that they have to be a Torah theocracy to
No,
have the moral authority
not
over
only according
Gentiles
to
to tell
you.
them
I've
what to
never heard anyone
do?
else. I've never heard anyone, Christian Zionists, say that Israel needs to be a Torah theocracy in order for me to support them or to give them all my money or, to blindly be obedient to them. I mean, so what's going to stop? Israel doesn't need to be a Torah theocracy for all these Christian Zionists to be Noahides. They're not going to think like you.
Oh, but Vincent, it's my bedtime analogy again. If your bedtime is 7 as a parent, you can't enforce an 8 p.m. bedtime on your
You know,
children
a
because you'd already
single
be
a single
asleep.
a single rabbi following what he's supposed to be doing can just teach the Gentiles the Noahide laws, and he's a single guide that's doing what he's supposed to be doing, and then you have what you need. You don't need Israel. Israel doesn't need to be in existence in order for the Noahide laws to be practiced amongst Gentiles.
Well, yes, in theory. Yeah, okay, I'm happy to go along with that. I'm just saying rabbis should rank the four Gentile religions, and that would be counted as a discharge of their omission
They're
that
not
has
doing that.
persisted for centuries.
They're not doing that.
Yeah, I know. Even though it's so easy and that everybody can easily post their ranking on social media, they don't even have to talk to us or be in the same room with us. And that's all they have to do, and then they'll think, oh, we done the right thing at last. Better late than never.
No, yeah, Claire, you think they're going to give up all of their history and prophecy and work and ideology just to half-ass it in the end. Like, no, they're not going to
Yeah, because
half-ass.
I'm saying that to them that the Messiah's not coming, and they have to make do with me.
Nobody's
I'm
giving
their
up.
Messiah substitute.
Nobody's going to go for that, Claire.
Well, it makes complete sense, and you were the one to put some hocus pocus and mumbo jumbo in it. I got the idea from you. Why can't you support me now? Why can't you support the Messiah substitute, Vincent? Don't you want to support the Messiah substitute?
Support the Messiah substitute.
Yeah, have a think about it. There's a job in it for you.
I don't think that'll be happening.
Why not? You just have to say you support me, and then you can be the first gay secular Quranist in America. And people will ask you questions, so they just won't be able to believe in it. That a gay man would be a secular Quranist, there to protect the rights of gay people. You can start the ball rolling. Oh, come on. My idea is better than yours. At least people can kind of see the possibilities in it.
Hold on, I'm switching my device.
Well, Tamara La says, "Oh, you can't stay a Christian and be a Noahide." Well, she knows that. So she knows about sharing the education day.
Hold on.
What's that noise?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hold on.
So I'll answer Death Through Abrahamism, who asks, so does Sharia laws deny free will? No. I think people should understand that you can be an atheist or theist and believe in free will, and you can believe in predestination as an atheist or a theist. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not conclusive. Just because you say believe in free will doesn't, it doesn't automatically tell. It's not conclusive of whether you're an atheist or a theist. And it's like Zionism. One of the things that a few politicians have gotten into trouble for is saying that Hitler or the Nazis were Zionists. I don't know how you feel about that, Vincent. Could it be said that Nazis were Zionists in the sense that they wanted a place to dump their unwanted Jews? Because Zionism is defined as believing that Jews have a right to their own homeland. I mean, a Nazi could say that, right?
Yes.
Oh, you're echoing now.
Hold on. Hello?
Yes.
Well, there was the Havara Agreement, and I'm sure they would have been happy to send hold on 1 second. Can you give me 1 second?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Death to Abrahamism. the religious use free will and predestination, depending on the circumstance. So the Quran would says you have the free will to decide to believe, and then I think that okay, I don't know which verse, but there's a suggestion that God knows and you do not, and so God would know before it happens what's going to happen to you. But that's irrelevant to what you're going to do, because you still have to make your decision for what you think is the correct decision for you. So it doesn't matter if God knows or he doesn't. The important thing is you want to end up in the right place in the afterlife, and you can only do that if you understand the laws that you're supposed to obey and obey them. You have to show that you know the difference between good and evil, and then if you show you do, then you go to the better place in the afterlife. So death to Abrahamism doesn't seem to know that there are different schools of Sharia. There are four: the Shafi, the Hanbali, the Maliki, and the I can't remember the
Claire?
fourth one.
Claire?
Yes, you have to go.
Well, can you give me 5 minutes?
Yeah. I can talk
Okay, go ahead.
about the schools of Sharia. I only got 3 of them I can remember. Hanafi, Shafi, Maliki, and Hanbali. There we are. I don't know why you think I'm unstable. Death to Abrahamism. I don't expect to get into a position of power. I only hope to be a humble government consultant. Tamara says Noahides and radical Muslims believe homosexuality is punishable by death. Noahide law should be something, everyone. It won't be punishable. Sodomy won't be punishable by death under secular Quranism. Death to Abrahamism says, I'm not an atheist, I just don't believe in your worldview, but you don't get to believe any other beliefs other than yours. Well, that's like everyone, I'm interested in what other people believe. I don't have to accept what they believe, and obviously I have my own ideas. Okay. So, Eflin for you is talking about the Jews who aren't Jews. I have a particular method of dealing with these Jews, and I would put Jews on a register, and the registrars would be rabbis who would strike off any Jew known to have committed any of the 36 capital offences. I think that's fair enough. We'll let them, sort it out by themselves. And just to let you know, those of you who might like to catch me on Khalid Shafir's channel, I will be talking about how did he title it? Let me just go and find it for you. It's about slavery. Are we the slaves of God? Something like that. video should be scheduled, hopefully. Yes, oh, sorry. Are we slaves to Jews with me in 20 hours' time? So I'm going to put it in the private chat for Vincent.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, give me one more second.
You're busy, aren't you? Okay, so there we are. Are we slave to Jews? With the I think the Jews are traditionally portrayed as an octopus with tentacles, and this has a thumbnail with an octopus with a tentacle over Earth. So we will be talking about slavery and Jews and whether humans are the slaves of God, and whether it's better to know that we're slaves of God or better not to know. What do you think? Yes, I should share this link with others. We will even be discussing what Carl Schwab said about, well, it wasn't him who said it, it was somebody writing an essay about how you will own nothing and be happy, and it was in the context of electronic goods, which will be periodically updated and made more efficient, but you never own it. You just pay rent on it, or something like that. So that's going to be your treat tomorrow.
Hello?
Yes, hello. You're very busy.
No, I'm not. I'm just wanted to. I had to get something. I don't know why today. I think the title got a lot of people to listen. A lot of people
Yeah.
listening today.
How many people are watching?
11.
11 on yours. I have 5 on mine. So that's good.
Yeah.
There may be the Palestine. Mentioning the Palestine helps.
Yeah. Everyone's obsessed with Israel and Palestine. Everyone's obsessed with it, especially Palestine.
How will it all end?
I don't know, but you know how I think it'll end. I think that they win for a little while. The Israelis win, the world with the Noahide laws for a little while. All right, we've gone for an hour and a half. You wanna? What time is it by you?
It's 22:47. Yeah, getting late.
Yeah, I'll let you go.
All right then. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.